nothing's coming in the garage door today. That's because everything is already here that we need. So this is a welder I picked up for my neighbor. If you like my cool lettering I put on the side of it, I had the top repainted from the original blue. It was looking pretty shabby. But anyway, this is a Bobcat 225 NT. It does stick and TIG, and it's also a 8K generator. And it's important to note on this that in this particular model that I'm talking about is the Kohler engine, the 18 horsepower Kohler. So it is an older one. I think it's from 97 or 98, but it still runs great. So my neighbor sold it to me cheap, needed a head gasket, and it wouldn't idle properly. So got the head gaskets done, very simple job. You just take a bunch of the tins off and a couple pieces and it's all done. The biggest thing I found was trying to figure out why it wouldn't idle down. On the switch over here, you have two options. You can either run it at full idle, or full speed I mean, or you can run it at run idle. So what it's supposed to do is when you run this, it's supposed to idle down until you need it. But if you're on a job site where you're intermittently welding, you don't want it to be running all the time at high speed, so you can let it idle down. It's supposed to sense when there's a need for power, and it's supposed to idle up and stay idling for 15 seconds until it doesn't see the need for it and then idle back down. So anyway, so this is the top of the Kohler engine. There's like an air cleaner set up on here. So we take the air cleaner off, and right here, this blue piece, that is the electromagnetic solenoid. And what that does is that pulls on the throttle. And that's important to note, is that it's pulling, not pushing. So when it's just sitting here off, the magnetic it's like a little rod that sticks out. That is fully extended. There's no magnetism in here. And this is set to run at full idle or full speed when it's just sitting here. So if I were to start it up now with the with it not working properly, it would run at full idle, full speed. Keep saying idle, it's speed, full speed. When this is engaged properly, it is supposed to pull the little rod back, which moves the throttle, which idles it down. Okay, so that's the problem we're having. This isn't working, or this isn't moving, I should say. So what we need to do is we need to troubleshoot. Easiest thing to do is see if this thing's working. So on the side of the engine, right above the oil filter, there's two wires. These go to the little solenoid. So what we need to do is disconnect these. So we'll pull this one out, and we'll pull this one out. And we're going to run a jumper from here down to the battery, and we're going to see if that thing clicks. So it's important to note too that it doesn't really matter which way you plug these in, it's electromagnet. So if you plug them in this way or you plug this one down here, it doesn't matter. That little piece is going to function all the same. Okay, so let's get some jumper wires. Let's get some jumper wires and jump it to the battery. Okay, so I always have little wires like this made up, and I keep them in my little box that I carry with me when I go to jobs to do electrical stuff, test out stuff. So let's get all this unraveled. Okay, so we're going to put these down on the battery, and if it works, you should hear a click. So after messing with this for a little bit, so funny thing is that I had tested it before and everything worked on the magnetic side, but now I'm hooking it up to the battery and it will hold the magnet, and when I let go, you can hear it release. So, not really sure. So I'd actually taken this apart before, the whole magnet, and cleaned it out. So it holds and releases. But when I put the magnet, or when I put the power directly up to it, it doesn't act like it has enough force to pull the magnet back. I swear it did work at one time. So anyway, let's move to the other part of this. The part that cost the most money. So on this piece, I pulled it apart and I found that, you see this thing? That's not supposed to be there. And there's a big lip here. Let's see if I can pull this out where you can see it. There's a huge lip there, and that's not supposed to be there either. Not like that. So this is I think it's a capacitor, and I think this capacitor blew and it leaked all the fluid over here, which pushed this piece up, so there's a huge lip here. But anyway, so this is the old model, okay? And they don't make this one anymore. If you can find one, great, but it is much easier if you just spend the money and get the new one. So the new one is part 201936. It is a Miller part, costs about 150 bucks. But there's a problem. How many connectors do you see on there? 5. How many connectors are on there? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's a problem with that. So what you have to do on this is you get this piece, and if you see, it says 12 volts switched and 12 volts. So in the newer generators, they have an extra wire that goes to the 12 volts. And these older generators, or welders, I mean, generator welders, this 12 volt switched is down here, and there's no direct 12 volt prong on it. So what we need to do is make a little jumper. So plug this into the 12 volt switched. I guess we can do this at the same time. And you plug this side into the 12 volt power. And you take the 12 volt power off of this one, you plug it into here, and then you move all the other terminals to the respective places. So let's do that real quick. Okay, so here is the original, and you can see that there's a weird lip there. So I think part of it's supposed to be there, but I don't think all of it's supposed to be there, especially that big crack in there. That's not supposed to be there. And there was something else I noticed on here I thought was weird. There was like a bulge on it a little bit, which definitely says that something is wrong with it. Anyway, long story short, we got all these pieces moved over here. So let's go test it out. And I do know that the battery was a little low, so let's put the let's run it so it's at the right voltage, and then we can try it and see, make sure everything works. The other thing I didn't like about this generator, or a welder, was when I put new fuel lines on, I put a new fuel filter on and a new fuel pump, and I noticed that this always stays dry until it runs. Now it does suck the fuel up very quickly, and I know there's fuel in the bowl which helps it run, and while it's running with the fuel bowl, this thing will fill up quick, but still. So let's not forget to plug these back in. All right, so hopefully you should be able to hear it. Well, yeah, you should be able to hear the motor idle up and down. So let's set you back a little bit. So I saved these syringes from Jello shooters from a long time ago, and damned if they aren't the greatest things to move fluids with. So here I keep trying and trying, thinking that putting gas in it is going to help start this thing. But then I realized that actually it's not, and there's a bigger problem, which I come to find out sooner or later. So yeah, I just keep trying and trying, thinking it's going to help, but it actually just really doesn't. Okay, so quick update on the welder here. Got a little revelation. So I ended up turning the camera off, and I was taking the air cleaner off. I was trying to test the pump, trying to figure out what was going on. So I thought maybe there was some kind of issue with the vacuum to run the little fuel pump that's in there, because it's a brand new fuel pump. It's just right in there. It's brand new. So I called my local equipment repair shop. So I told him it's like a 97-ish Kohler engine, and I explained the problem to him, mainly because the fuel pickup has to go all the way up there to the top. So it's like about it goes all the way down to the bottom and comes all the way. So it's about a 3-foot lift. So he went on to explain to me that these older Kohlers are kind of finicky as far as when they set for any period of time, they have a hard time starting because the fuel pump can't get enough vacuum to essentially start working until it gets warmed up. So he said that a lot of his clients actually will put electric fuel pumps on their old Kohler engines on their lawnmowers and stuff to be able to run properly. One idea was to run a fuel pump with a switch. You run it for a few minutes, let the motor warm up, and then you turn it off, and then the regular fuel pump will kick on, and that'll run it for as long as it needs. So anyway, I ordered a fuel pump, electric fuel pump, and I'm going to wire that up in here. So that'll be here tomorrow through Amazon. I think it was all of about $10 or so. All right, so we're back. It's the next day. All right, so I'm back. It's the next day, and I got a pile of Amazon crap. Got a new fuel pump. Got the electric fuel pump. And a bunch of new fuel line, which, looking at it, looks kind of crummy, but we'll see. Anyway, today I'm actually going to try and wear gloves because my fingers stank terrible yesterday when I went inside from the gas. So what I want to do is, first I want to replace the mechanical fuel pump in here. And for that, I got to take off the upper lid. Okay, so at this point, I got the electric pump hooked up, and I got the new fuel pump on, and I got the everything hooked up the way it was. The only addition is this fuel pump is in here. So let's start this thing. And what my mechanic had told me was that I should be able to run this till the engine gets warm for a few minutes, then I can shut this off and the old fuel pump will take over. Whether or not I want to do that route, I don't know, but I am willing to try and see what happens. I know the fuel pump at least works because the fuel filter is already full of fuel. So let's open up the garage door and get this thing started and see what happens. And then we can get back to the original video of testing the low and high idle on this thing that we were supposed to be talking about until this came up. Okay, so evidently it works. The only problem I see at this point is that there is a carb issue. It's not quite idling properly. If you heard it, it was up and down a lot. The low idle did kick on, so we solved that problem. So the problem was that little idle control thing in the back. Okay, so in the last clip you just saw, the motor was actually running really well. So what I found out is, just like I said, you got to really warm these engines up really good, and then the fuel pump will start working properly. But until it warms up, you really need that electric fuel pump to kick in. So I was thinking to myself, also known as conferring with an expert, that I think I'm just going to put a switch on it and turn it on and off as needed. So if it starts running weird, then I can turn it on, and if I don't need it, I'll just turn it off. So anyway, I put this cool little switch right here, and it's lit so I know when it's on. So once I turn it on, it lights up, and you can also hear the pump kick on. So I think that's how it's going to go. Seems to work fairly well. Been running it some more, and I haven't had any problems. Stupid son. So I've been running it some more and haven't had any problems with it. So I think this is a wrap. So all the tins are back on it. And of course I'm going to letter it up really nice, even better than what it is. So please, if you haven't already, go ahead, subscribe to my channel. This isn't going to be the last time you see this welder. I'm not going to give out any clues, but I have a really cool plan for this welder and a bunch of other welding stuff that involves a welder, other welding equipment, my truck, and a certain park where you would drive vehicles which you wouldn't drive on the road. So that's all I'm going to say. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if you like, I'd really appreciate it. It just helps with the YouTube algorithm, so other people will see my videos more. So hopefully this helps somebody, and I'll catch you on the next one.